How's it going, everyone? We have another 3v3 season coming up this week, and I know a lot of people seem to dislike 3v3 compared to 5v5, but after this last 5v5 season, where at least in Kyber 1, it was more of just a shootout, just can't stop anybody unless you can pull some rabbit out of your hat. I even lost a match scoring 1856, which was an insane score before any time before last season. I think 3v3 will be a little bit of a nice change up. I think we will have some more defensive viability. Teams are more spread out. You need more counters. And I think it should be a good season. But everyone has a little bit of collective amnesia. So I'm going to be going over what the best comps are in the game at this point. I mean, not all of them. I mean, I can't think of every possible comp that is good. So if you have a good comp recommendation, just throw it in the comments. But I know everyone gets collective amnesia, so it helps people remember. And I do hope that this has some applicability to lower leagues like Rhodium, Chromium, on down. But this is more of an endgame perspective, so keep that in mind. So without further ado, let's get into the offensive squads. And here we are, starting at the top with some familiar ones. So we don't have set 11 Datacrons anymore, but I still think Supreme Leader Kylo, Malicos, and Kylo Ren Mask will be the best counter to Leia in a 3v3 setting. I don't know how much Leia is going to fall off without her Datacron, and I don't know how much the online Force users are going to fall off without their Datacron. But there are good substitutes. There's good level 3s for light side and dark side alignment, so there's good stuff out there for anybody. There's Doubt for dark side. That's going to be good in pretty much any situation for most teams. And then for light side, lots of extra protection up. So you're really going to have to worry about chewing through a lot of health and protection. So Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, Leia can still get up and hit really hard, so don't think she's going to be a pushover without the Drogon Kron. Like, go use Leia in like a PvE setting, just see how hard that team still hits. It's still going to be fearsome, so you need to have a plan for Leia. Jabba is not super consistent, or he wasn't last season. Might be better without Leia's Datacron. Jabba might be an option. I'm going to say Supreme Leader Kylo Ren is one of the Galactic Legends. I'm going to say take only on offense. This is the Leia comp. This is for kind of Lord Vader or anything. You could also use Supreme Leader Kylo to solo some stuff, like Tuskens. Those are going to be a problem. Sith Eternal, I do not recommend putting Sith Eternal on defense, because I'll get into it more later. But while Afra kind of struggles with Afracron even against Jabba in 3v3, C is still vulnerable. You can beat a C even with a Malik if you have the Afra team, so just be careful. I think you still want to keep Sith Eternal Emperor on offense, unless you're in a really low league, and then that might stop people if they don't have any GLs, but that's an edge case. Now for Lord Vader, this Bo-Katan, it's not going to be everywhere, because not everyone has Bo-Katan. There was 1,000 people that unlocked it the first time, probably at least, I don't know, maybe 1,000 more or so more. So we're going to see Bo-Katan more in Kyber 1. And her Datacron just massacres Lord Vader. So if you're going to go against an opponent with Bo-Katan, you probably want to take Lord Vader on offense, and even split him with Maul. I'm going to go over the Maul comp. I think will be best soon. But then Lord Vader with Royal Guard can solo most stuff. I think this is a good counter to like Reva, and Reva is a strong defensive team. Or you could just really overkill and use Lord Vader solo. Now Afra, I wrote C and Jabba. Like, I think Sith Eternal is probably the best value you can get. Zori is a common thing. We used Afra to beat Zori even before she had a good Datacron. But it is a strong team. Definitely keep her on offense. On defense, you can get wrecked by CLS or Dash Han Chewie in 3v3, and also a Hux First Order team. If you have First Order TIE Pilot Omicron, you're going to outspeed them. There's no turn meter gain, and you can just destroy Afra before they start taking turns. So keep that on offense. JML. So I fine-tuned the comp for this season. We don't have any protection Datacrons at all anymore, so Lord Vader might be tricky if you do come against a Lord Vader. But if you do, Giant Revan and Barriss Offie seems to be one of the most safe. Barriss is passive cleansing all the time. Giant Revan can't get ability blocked, and he has that cleanse. So this can help you whittle down the sides. Control cooldowns with Revan. Controlling Lord Vader's cooldowns is the name of the game. You're going against Lord Vader with JML. JML can increase his cooldowns, and JKR can as well. So very important. And then most of the damage is just from the granted ability. And if you're taking on JMK, I think Giant Revan and Jedi Cal might be the way to go. You could probably get it to work with either Revan and Yoda or Revan and Johnny Knight Luke. People will be setting, if they do set Jedi Master Kenobi, they're probably going to set him with no revive datacron, which doesn't have any good stats on it. So there's no survivability stats. As long as the cat goes before the opponent's cat goes before your Revan, it's easy. You mark down cat right away, then take her out slowly, and it's not even that slowly. They just don't have much stats to hold up. And Jedi Cal's amazing there too. A lot of turn meter swapping, getting to plenty of terms, even without turn meter gain. Another great team. I think Jedi Knight, Luke, Mace, and Cal is strong for offense. Might be fine against Malgus. I'm not sure. With all this doubt going around on level 3s, might be an issue. But it is pretty durable. Mace Windu can whittle them down if need be, if they have like a Malak on the team. And then Jedi Cal is going to insta-kill Malgus. Hopefully you survive that long. But just a thought, like Jedi Cal, if you have him, is one of the most flexible Jedi. Then a Revan team. If you need to use Afro for something else, and they said Zori, Jedi Knight Revan is a good option. Revan, Yoda, and Jolee. Try to give them like the protection of Datacron from level 3. Just you're gonna want that pretty much everywhere. Just great survivability. Jolee has an insurance policy, and Wookiees don't have a crazy Datacron anymore either. So, well, it's been a little while since they have it anyway. So that's a good option there. And then Bounty Hunters Classic. It's been a while since I thought Fennec is a good option off the bat for Lord Vader, but definitely a cleanup option. But depending what it is, you can use them. Sometimes Fennec has an outside shot against Tuskens, but I wouldn't really recommend it. And then we have Bad Batch, droid. It's good counter for droids. It just depends. I mean, it's like you take it on offense, not really going to get much done on defense. If you do want to put it on defense, put it with like Shock T, Echo, and Tech or something. I think that can get some holds. Most comps, you want to use Hunter, Echo, and Tech. But if you see like a Sortie, General Grievous, Droideka, which has been popular, you want Wrecker in there instead of Tech. Moving on down, we got Admiral Raddus, and I do think he sits squarely on offense. I don't think defense is a good idea for him at all. It's just sitting duck for Bounty Hunters, which is losing its viability season by season. And I think you want to use Jin, and Cassian is actually the best comp for Dark Trooper Moff Gideon counters. Surprising enough, seems to work better than a tank, so I don't know. I wouldn't recommend trying Raddus against Reva anymore. I mean, it could possibly still work, but with all the doubt out there, I feel like it's going to be an issue because you're not getting turn meter, not getting buffs, and I think it's going to be a lot easier to shut them down against an enemy Reva team. They don't have their online Force User Datacron anymore, but we'll see. I mean, I guess the jury's kind of out still, but it was less than 50% anyway with Baze Malvis against Reva. And you're probably going to want Baze with Saw if you have Baze and Chirrut and have that Chirrut Datacron. Padme is actually pretty versatile. She can either use General Kenobi and Ahsoka. That's assuming you don't use General Kenobi with Jedi Master Kenobi and you use Mace, which is a good idea to take on Jabba. And they're good at withstanding a lot of debuffs. And then like General Kenobi taking hits, as long as you can whittle down the enemy slowly enough and it doesn't have like a Kylo Ren on mass type that is immune to the courage damage. If you don't have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, I think Gidme is still great. I mean, even if you do, like you could set different comp, but I think Moff Gideon is the best, is part of the best 3v3 comp for Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. And then you just want to make sure you use a support. A lot of times Shock T, like Padme, Moff Gideon, Shock T, good against a Malakos team that doesn't have Kylo Ren unmasked. Wampa, is still gonna have good views for some people. Other people are not gonna get to use them for a while, which I haven't. Imperial Troopers, it's kind of interesting. They have a similar setup that they did even with set 11. There's still a offense and defense penetration up on level 6 for Empire, so I do recommend using that. And then for level 3, I don't know. I think the turn meter level 3, like if they lose turn meter protection up or something, there's no clear consensus I have in my head of what their level 3 is. I just think the buffs on level 6 is probably the smoothest for them because they don't naturally get defense penetration up, so that's an extra buff for them. Even though they do get offense up a lot, it is going to help get that easier and keep the turn meter train going. Hux, like I alluded to earlier, this is an anti-Afra, so you go with the extra speed boost before the Afra team. She doesn't take a bonus turn at the beginning. She gets plus 100% turn meter, so that's going to be shut down by Hux. and then you can just use the middle ability, send everyone, and hopefully that takes her out. It should anyway. That Datacron set 12 doesn't have any survivability stats. Geonosian's probably more of a cleanup. I do think a lot of times Spy and Sunfac is good. Sunfac for Dispel, but it just depends. Soldier might be good there. It's just he's really flimsy. Newt, going to be a decent Qui-Gon Jinn counter. Now, I don't know how Keller and Beck fits into things. I don't know if this could be a Keller and Beck team. Probably going to have an issue. But the point of it is Jango had his damage immunity. B1 Battle Droid can take 1,000,000 damage and only lose 8 stacks of Battle Droid. And then Newt can come back and revive. So that's the thought there. Trench Jango and Newt, or Trench Jango and maybe Dooku or something. If you still have Watt, then that's an option too. They can take out something where you need to prevent revives. Even without a revive prevention from Scoundrels, Jango, if you have his Zeta, can do it. But they're good with the shock there. I wouldn't really set them on defense unless you want to use Watt. But Jango is pretty much a hoss here. He hits so hard, so it's pretty nice. Darth Vader, I don't know what you get to do with him. I've had some success with different comp against certain teams. I can't remember them right now. Using Thrawn and then like a pre-taunting tank, so it could be like Short Trooper here or something. Dash with Vandor, as long as he has the Omicron, young Lando, I think they can ramp up and do a lot of damage. Otherwise, you want him with Dash, Han, and Chewie is how I like to run it. Most people do. Maybe CLS Han and Chewie is going to be a thing again in 3v3, but it hasn't been for a while. And then just Shock T is just kind of backup clones. So I think that's all that I want to cover for offense only. I might think of something later, but for now, that's it. Moving on to defense, and yes, even though you see Lord Vader here, I have conditions on it. This standard comp with Maul and Thrawn. This I labeled if no Bo-Katan Datacron. So if they do have Bo-Katan and the Datacron, don't set this. This might have a chance against that. So Sortie, this light side is not losing our protection. She might because of Bo's like Datacron ability and has no protection, but and she's stealth small, and then Lord Vader can't die from that insta kill anyway because it's a GL. So this might have a chance. I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. That's the only thing I'd probably feel comfortable setting if they did have Bo, or like even if they didn't have Bo. I'd feel more comfortable doing it. Maybe have Thrawn. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. It's just if we do have it, just be careful for Bo. That's all I'm saying. Malgus, I still prefer to put Marauder and Talon there, just so they have to use something good on 2 different Sith Empire teams. Darth Revan, Bastila Shan, and Malak are a force on their own, but if you give one of those to Malgus, it kind of falls off, and you need another leader in there or something, or you need Savage, and Savage already has a great home, I think, with Traya. So I do like setting that. That's kind of a draw, and you can use it, put it on the front, maybe draw a certain counter that comes in. I don't know. Tusken's still really fearsome. One of the only super strong set 12 Datacrons. There's not much safe against it. Gas is not even safe. It's like 77%. Afra is even lower. Traya isn't even 100%. It's like 91%, like Traya Savage. So this is a crazy team if you have the Tusken Raider Omicron. By far the worst composition is Boba Fett Sign of Jango with Chieftain Omicron. That is not good. I feel sorry for people that applied it, but because they're 2 3v3 Omicrons, but sorry. Zori, still a good defensive team. I think it's pretty solid. Don't really know what to use it for on offense, but I think the cooldown reset for Scoundrels is probably the best. It's only going to work for Zori, but it's still something. It's still some kind of extra boost. But we could make use of Set 13. Set 13 is overall stronger and has better stats, so might use that too. If you are going to put Seer and Malicos on defense, you need Kylo Ren and Mass with them. Otherwise, they are sitting duck for Gidme teams. We don't have the Malicos Datacron anymore, where he would conveniently taunt and let you attack him, circumventing Kylo Ren. So that makes it easier. It's harder to even mess up, but we don't have a strict Ufu Datacron anymore. And as a mixed squad, you're not going to get the most out of every Datacron. You're going to have to pick one alignment or the other. Saw Gerrera, I think Chirrut and Baze, unless they nerf Chirrut's Datacron into Oblivion, I think it is going to be better to use than like Bodhi Rook. I mean, Bodhi Rooks does look really strong, but I'm gonna wait until to see if there's a lot of success stories with it before I give him any gear and relic materials. However, Truton Bays is clearly killing it, unless they nerf it like crazy. And the Bodhi Datacron has to be under a Rebel Fighter lead. And then Mon Mothma and Admiral Radis, they are not Rebel Fighters. They're just Rebels. So Saw Gerrera is one of the only good Rebel Fighter leaders we have. And if you have the Omicron, I'm really looking forward to this team on defense. I think people will have to use something really strong and they will respect it. Another defensive team that used to just be kind of like a for me is putting BAM, Hondo, and Nest together with the BAM Datacron. I don't know what you want for like the Mandalorian level 6. It's not as important. The BAM level 9 is like the invulnerability for him. So once he gets his bonus turn, if he drops into that stance, you can't kill him. And then you have to pick between hitting Nest and Hondo. Hondo might have outmaneuver, so you might just have to hit Nest, and you might just get stuck behind hitting Nest. And I think it can be really, really annoying. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that one at work. I would use the Mandalorian one, not a Scoundrel one. Otherwise, it would be a little bit weaker. Sanastaros, since we're going to be putting, if you have them, Baze and Chirrut with Saw Gerrera, I think Cara Dune and Kyle Katarn can go with Sanastaros. Kyle Katarn is not a Scoundrel, but I feel like, I don't know. He's more a force to be reckoned with. Maybe this is a stupid comp. I don't know. I don't know much about Sanastaros. I don't really use her myself. This can be annoying if you try like Bad Batch with tech, it might fail. But yeah, it just could be annoying if people aren't ready for it. I don't know. I'm probably not going to set it, but a lot of people do set it. And General Grievous, I don't know. Man, General Grievous, I am not finding much use for him at this point in time. In 3v3 or even in 5v5, so that's kind of sad. But he used to be, I mean, he's still pretty good early game. It's just like, I don't know, fallen from grace. Another droid suggestion, BB-8 for getting out in front with a turn meter. R2-D2 only if you don't have Leia. Otherwise, you want to put like T3, but a lot of people don't have T3 or L3 for pre-taunting tank. This is more for like a mid-game approach. Endgame, probably not going to set this. Also, if you don't have BAM Datacron, Queel, Hondo, and IG-11 is a good idea. Probably a Scoundrel cooldown reset Datacron would be your best bet. It's just all about getting Hondo up and running, and the more turns you cycle through, the better. And IG-11 is really good if people come in with a debuff heavy team. It's definitely going to steal banners, so it's not all about holding. Sometimes it is about just stealing banners. And then for Rex, last season I was recommending him still with clones, but I think that's too expensive because you would need to put him with Rex and 5s to have a pretty good clone team. But you need Rex and 5s with gas to have like a actually formidable gas team. I mean, you can run Echo and Arc, but it's actually way less viable, way less threatening to use. So I do think him with Hera and Kanan is decent. Give him a Rebel Fighter Datacron and protection up. And it might surprise you. Rex is a Rebel Fighter, but the rest aren't. And yes, the Omicron is shut off, but he's still just a powerhouse of a character. Even with these three, it can be pretty annoying. Like, you could be surprised. Trench, Dooku, and Watt is probably the most annoying defensive team. You got lots of stuns, and you got like lots of survivability from Watt's techs going out there. And you're going to need something for it. So I don't know. If you do feel like setting that, you probably need Watt in there. Jango's another option too. Leftover Inquisitors, that's more for like mid-game people that unlocked Reva, help their guild unlock Reva, and they don't have enough teams. 5th, 9th, and 8th go together well, and then the 7th and Grand go with Reva. Powerful, I don't know. I don't know how strong he is nowadays. Like, a lot of players that I face have like R9 Tarful, so they still have some viability, but it's not something I'd build up just for it. Actually, this is supposed to be an offense. Maybe it could be good defense too, but like, this is an anti-Leia comp. Third Sister Savage and Starkiller. I think in the stats, it's not like super potent. It's like 63%, but it's one of the only non-GL things that even registered. And that was against the Leia Datacron or the Drogon Datacron. Like, without that, might be more viable. But I did put it in the wrong bracket, so I hope you are listening. But that could be kind of threatening on defense too. I don't know. But that is it for defensive squads. And the last segment is the flex teams, and this is mainly the meat and potatoes of the video. These are teams that are good enough to be on defense, and you might want them on offense too. So it's kind of a threat, and there's a lot of where the strategy lies, determining which of these teams you put on offense or defense. Starting off with Leia, I don't think that she is done for because she doesn't have a Drogon Datacron. I mean, yes, it is a lot nicer not to have that damage reduction from having over half turn meter, but that never affected Leia to begin with. This protection up level 3 does affect Galactic Legends, so just look out. Do not underestimate Leia this season on defense. And Jabba is not a shoe-in against her on defense. I don't know, it wasn't last season. I don't know if it will be this 3v3, but this is still going to be a really potent team. And also Drogon is a rebel fighter, so you can make use of some rebel fighter level 6. The offense gaining one for like critical hits might be the best use for him. I don't think anything is particularly dominant on the level 6, but that level 3, you want to get that protection out for hitting health thresholds, and that's going to be really annoying. JMK, probably no matter, in most cases, you're going to want to use a no revive Datacron on defense, just so I wouldn't recommend really setting on defense, because that will help stop like a Jabba from countering it, or a Riva. It's going to be kind of a threat. It just depends. Riva can still beat it with a no revive. You just have to like get everything right. My plan for JMK is just to use it on Jabba. Like, I went into last season thinking Afra will kill Jabba like she does in 5v5, but it's kind of a crapshoot. If the enemy Jabba decides to go all in on Afra, she's going to die. So this is just nice and simple. Mace is better than GK in that instance, but for most other things, you want GK. So JMK could be defense. I'm gonna do offense, but also if you do defense, probably use that protection up level 3. Now that I think about it, instead of no revive. Rey, also the level 3 with the protection up. You want to get a ton of those. That's gonna be super annoying because our health pool is massive. You might just have to wait out that protection up. I don't know, it's crazy. And then either Jedi Training Rey is a third, or Cal Kestis. I think Cal Kestis is phenomenal. Like, he's so good here. We don't have stacking defense anymore, but this can beat, I think it could beat JMK, it could beat Lord Vader, it could beat, I think Mirror is a pretty solid choice. So it's strong on defense, but it is strong on offense too, and usually for good banners. So yeah, don't underestimate it still, even without Unaligned Force User Datacron, still going to be potent. Jabba, of course, you still want the Booshkron, and even though in 5v5, you definitely want to keep it on offense because Afra can roll over it. And I think in 3v3, its defense is a good option for it too. So set it down. It's not a pushover. The most consistent thing, I think, is JMK. Afra is iffy. So you can do what you want with Jabba. I think this is still just going to be an amazing team either way on 3v3. The Bo-Katan. I don't have her. I don't know when the next time she's going to come around again. I don't know that if the fact that we got her event like 3 weeks, I don't know, after the first instance means the next one will be 8 months away. I don't know. But she's going to be insane with this Datacron. On offense, she's going to be messing people up if you're in control. I think you definitely want Paz Vizsla, and I don't know what the third is, either Bo-Katan or IG-12. Either way, I feel like it's hard to mess up with insta-kills on turn 1 and potentially multiple insta-kills. And I don't know if it's going to be good on defense, so we'll have to see. I am kind of worried if it is good on defense, that's going to be another thing I have to contend with. So just keep your eyes peeled. And Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. This is going to be a scary team this season. If you haven't tried out or seen footage of the Dark Trooper, it is not a pushover Dark Trooper. It feels like I have an R8 Moff Gideon. It feels like an R8 plot. Like, it feels better than my normal Dark Trooper. It melts people. Definitely want the defense to offense level 6 for Empire, and that's affecting Dark Trooper Moff Gideon this time. He wasn't affected by the Imperial Trooper one because he is not an Imperial Trooper. You might miss that if you don't look close. But he is affected by this. Scout Trooper hits super hard. Moff Gideon is amazing for the control. The daze is invaluable. Getting out first and reducing turn meter is great. This is a strong team. Defense or offense. Offense, you can take out almost any A-level, B-level team. On defense, I think people are going to go in there and use Radis. Even I recommended Radis that I forgot. I was forgetting about the Datacron. It might still work. I mean, honestly, it could still work. But Dark Trooper's going to do so much damage. It's a 4-man team now. So it's like Geonosians, but on steroids, like crazy strong. I don't know. It's just going to be scary. Seer with Malicos and either Ahsoka Fulcrum or Cal. It's going to be pretty strong option. I think on defense, if you're going to put them without Kylo Ren and Mast, you want to surprise people on the back wall and draw out a Gidme. And at that point, it is pretty scary. Because Gidme with Shock T can just melt Malicos. But without it, if you have Cal in there, it's really hard to deal with. Ahsoka Fulcrum. You can also just take, if you take Malicos out, because he's with Springler and Kylo Ren, Seer, Ahsoka, and Cal are a great offensive team as well. Just really strong. So just keep that in mind too. Inquisitors, they're going to be scary. I think you want the defense to offense level 6. They're going to hit crazy hard. And the doubt level 3, it's going to penalize people for even touching you. I don't feel safe against this one much. I might just feel safe against it with Lord Vader. Traya was already not a sure thing against this comp. This is by far the best comp. Don't use 8th Brother. Don't use 5th Brother. Don't use anything. Just Grand Inquisitor, 7th Sister, if you ever use it. Like, I'm shocked how many instances there are of not these two with Reva. So don't do it if you're putting on defense. On offense, it can mess people up too. So it's going to be really strong. Starkiller, again, the doubt level 3. And I think the turn meter level 6 for Empire is probably what you want to go for. Because there's like extra damage ones, but Starkiller is the main damage here. It's not really Marjade or Palp. I think them giving out buffs is just going to speed you up more. So I think that's probably the one you want to go for. And I moved it back to Flex, or it is Flex. I don't think it's as compelling on defense as it was with the Ufukron, but it is still a scary team. I probably will not feel safe against Rey with it. That's just me, but we'll see how things work out. Darth Revan, Bastila and Malak is also an amazing counter to Seer, Malicos, and Crew. And you can put any level 3 you want. The doubt, still probably a good idea, especially with Malak there having only health. But it's like, how many of those are you actually going to be able to roll? Set 13 is by far better than set 12 for most people. So try to stock up on that while you can, even into the next week. But yeah, that's why I like setting Malicos on defense with more or less scrubs, that some people think. But yeah, it's a great team. And then Traya. So this is Flex. Traya, Savage, and Nihilus can either be on defense, but they can also kill potentially Reva. They can take out Malicos teams. They can take out Tuskens, which might be a good idea. And then they can take out Malgus. And GBA I put in there for the Malgus comps. And that can beat even a Malgus Darth Revan Bastila Shan comp. So like, that's another reason I don't like setting that comp. It's because it's like a pretty cheap counter. And then you have Savage for something else. And Savage on his own is already a monster. General Skywalker, it's like, I don't know. I still think protection up level 3 is by far the most impactful out of anything. That will help prevent Rex and 5s from dying when gas is down. It's not really going to help General Skywalker until the very end. But even at the very end, like once his allies are down, that's going to make him more of a pain to deal with. I don't know how they're going to fall this season. I don't know if... I don't think I trust them against Tuskens. On defense, that might be a good idea. Just really depends. I have to see how they play out. Jar and Chewie, I still think that could go either way. You want the cooldown reset. If you're taking them on offense, you're going to get more out of it because you can use Han's basic, and then he's going to get a turn right away. Then his special, and then the basic again. That's 5 hits from Han and 3 assists from Chewbacca. You can take out almost anything in the first volley. If you put him on defense, Han's going to shoot, get his bonus turn, and just do the shrug, which like is a reduced effectiveness. But he is going to get 50% turn meter, so he might get to go first again. So could be really good. CLS, I don't know. I don't know how this team's going to be. There's no Rebel fighters here, so there's no Datacron impact from the level 6. I don't know. I wouldn't feel good setting this on defense. It might be good. I have yet to see. Might just be offense, but I don't even know what it's for on offense. Night Sisters, I think on defense, They are a little susceptible to a no revive, like either bounty hunters, another scoundrel, or Mandalorians. But it is a way to take out Java, although it's too risky for my blood. If you do want to do that, I think you need high protection and tenacity on Marin, so the thermals aren't as impactful as they would be if you had a lot of health, and you also resist the thermals. Iden, I think you can spare Death Trooper. I think Dark Trooper Moff Gideon can spare Death Trooper, so you can have just an old standard Death Trooper and Range Trooper comp, and that should be just fine to take out CLS, especially with Empire Datacrons. It's like, oh my goodness. And then Qui-Gon Jinn, if you don't have Kelleran back, like I think most people, like me, you could run this either on offense or defense. It feels more like a cleanup team for offense, actually, at this point, which is kind of sad. On defense, it's still something that probably you could steal some banners, but you might not be catching too many people off guard. They don't have an applicable Datacron faction mechanic or level 9 or anything, and there's not too many offensive stats out there, so it's like, they're not getting modified that much for damage. If you do set Res on defense or insist on it, please just give him a tank, like K2 or Scarif Rebel Pathfinder. K2's probably better. And then just some scraps left over. Mon Mothma with Biggs and Wedge might be okay, like the Biggs Datacron, because he's giving out tons of turn meter. In 3v3 situations, I think it's more iffy using Mon Mothma. I don't really use her, but if you're at like a lower level and you got like an R5 Biggs, that's gonna be kind of crazy. So it just depends, because a lot of people have R3 on these for Giant Knight Luke. I think people go for Giant Knight Luke pretty early, so a lot of people will have that, and it's just a couple bumps to get him to R5, and that could be kind of annoying, especially on defense, because it's like if you crit him, he gets 100% turn meter, and then goes and lots of turn meter. Ewoks, I hope that they are bad again. We don't have their crazy Datacron anymore. Cheap Trooper Omicrons are still out there, but that Nisa Datacron really put them on the map. And I am glad I didn't sink any Zetas into them. I don't think that they're going to have a lot of staying power. And then Jawas, they still have the Datacron. They're on set 12, I think, right? I think it's more of a banner stealing team. I don't think it's going to like stop people. But like all those thermals could really like blow you up. And I think that is it for defensive teams, or flex teams. Oh, and how could I forget about Maul? I do think Guard Saxon and Imperial Super Commando are going to be your best bet if you are having Maul split off on his own. I probably wouldn't put him with Malicos or anything. If you're doing offense with Lord Vader, you really need some big target to be doing that with. He can make any counter much safer, like even if it's like a Reva or something. But I think with a Mandalorian level 6 that increases offense for each hit if they've been hit the previous turn is going to be insane. If you get to a full volley with Maul going off in Gar Saxon and Imperial Super Commando assisting, they each double tap, or they like assist each other double, like whenever they take an attack out of turn. So it's kind of like having Canderous, the added benefit. And with the true damage they're dealing, the only big thing you care about with that is offense. Offense, offense, offense. Not any other damage stat like armor pen, crit damage, crit chance, just offense. And that's where you're getting with that level 6. So they're going to stack sky high to the roof. Could probably demolish like a JML team and probably a lot of other stuff. So might just do it on offense. On defense, they're almost definitely going to steal some banners for you because of that damage immunity that's going to pop up from Gar. So it's a pretty crazy team, and I'm glad I did not forget it. And indeed, that is it for all my squads in this one. I hope this helps you out. Good luck with this season. I think it should be a fun one. 3v3 is always an interesting kind of flex for your brain in this game. Is trying out different things and a lot more teams to handle. Last 3v3 at the end, it became kind of a cheese meta, and this past 5v5 was definitely a cheese meta for where I am. So I hope that kind of changes a little bit, but we have yet to see. Anyway, thanks again for coming out. Don't forget to like and sub, all that stuff, and I'll see you guys later.